All right, Marcos, you're a Spanish dude, so do you go to
Yes,
Spain
sir.
very often?
My brother, that's a good question. Growing up, like my youth, my adolescence, it was at least twice a year, every year. Since like my career really started,
Hmm.
getting serious. Like coincidentally, every time that my family wants me to go out there, I got to train for a fight or something
Oh
like that.
yeah,
So,
it's like an 8 hour flight,
uh-huh.
and let's pretend for a second like you're getting on the flight, and you have two choices of like you're in the middle seat, so you're sitting bitch, right? In this scenario, you're a big dude and you're sitting bitch, and that's so the flight already from the beginning is gonna fucking suck for you. But you have two choices. Choice one is you have to sit in between Dylan Danis and Henry Cejudo for the entire flight. You can't have headphones on, and if you make it through the entire flight without throwing either of them out the window, you get a big bag.
Go.
All right, option two is you get to sit in between two supermodels who fucking stink and they fart like incessantly, but you get
I
an
don't
even
care.
bigger bag for that. So is it the
Okay.
supermodels and dealing with the BO or dealing with Dylan Danis and Henry Cejudo?
So I'm gonna give you a long, detailed answer.
Yep.
So first off, I love Henry Cejudo. I would love to sit next to that guy and pick his brain. I would still choose the two supermodels because I'm single and I love me a supermodel.
Even if they're
And I don't give
stinky.
a fuck if they stink and they fart. Hey, brother, we have to wear masks on flights anyways now.
Man, Marcos El Lobo Lloreda with us today. Marcos, this is something that you and I have been trying to set up for a minute. I'm glad our schedules worked out. And it's an honor to talk to you. And I'm a huge fan of yours. And I'm just, it's an honor to finally get to speak to you, well, kind of in person, I guess.
Yeah. Oh no,
Uh,
it's an honor for me to be on here, brother. Like I appreciate the platform always. I know some fighters that they don't like doing this kind of stuff, but they don't understand that this only helps grow the brand, grow my brand. You got to
yeah,
view yourself as a business, not just as a fighter. So I appreciate anybody who puts me on this platform, especially you, brother. Like, not to hate on the other people that give me platforms because I thank them too. But so far, by far, you're my favorite one of
oh,
these
thank you so
interviews.
much. I try really hard to like dig into fights and have some
Yeah, you do a great
semblance.
job.
Thank you so much.
Great job.
I really pride myself on the homework. I think that's important, especially for
I
guys
do too.
like you in this stage of your career, because I want people. I know people don't watch as many fights as I do. Most people are probably only going to watch the Kelvin fight tonight and turn it
Yeah,
off. And
I'm here.
that's
That's it. That's what I got on the TV now. The UFC.
oh yeah, I'm not even watching that shit. I watched the Bellator fight. I thought that shit was off the
Bellator is
chain.
great. PFL is great. It's no
Hmm.
longer about the UFC at all anymore, bro.
And that's good. I think that's good
Of course,
personally.
if not, that keeps it away from being a monopoly. And what people
Absolutely.
don't know, I mean, but a lot of these
Hmm.
promotions are paying just as good, if not better, than the UFC. You know what I mean? So
I would imagine it's better in many cases.
in many cases, exactly against lower level competition per se, but that's not necessarily true either. You got some guys with Bellator and PFL that if they came to the UFC, they could be world champions as well.
I'm not going to say who it was, but there was a guy I was speaking with not that long ago who fights out of Titan, and I
Uh,
was, just kind of shooting the shit with him a little bit. And I was like, so, like, would you go to Bellator or PFL? He's like, dude, I'm just gonna sit where I'm at because
Me too.
what I'm making right now, like, I would make just the same over there, and they treat me pretty good. So, like, why? Like, everyone always asks me that shit, and he's like, no offense, he wasn't like a dick or anything. He was just like, everyone always asks me if I'm like moving on, but I'm happy where I'm at.
Everybody's always like, you're 1, 2, whatever fights away from the call. The call. Hey, don't get me wrong. One day, I want to test myself against the best in the world in the UFC. But for now, I'm super happy with Combate. They treat me amazing. They pay me great. I'm super happy over there, bro. It's right here in my backyard. The shows are here in Miami. I don't got to travel. I don't got to do anything uncomfortable. Some COVID protocols, but that's everywhere, right?
Absolutely, and I love Combate. I
Yeah.
subscribe to
Combate's dope.
Paramount just for that shit.
Hell yeah.
They don't fuck around, man. Like they just crank it out. Like, it's not a bunch of lag, it's not a bunch of drawn out bullshit. They just crank out the
Check it
fights.
out. That's how it is when you're a fighter back there. I was the main event in this last fight with McDowell,
Hmm.
and I remember getting there like an hour before. I didn't know it was gonna be only an hour, but I remember getting there like when the first fights were on, thinking, "Oh my god, I'm gonna have to be in the locker room." I might as well not even start warming up yet. but I saw how fast the fights were going and how fast they were moving. Like you said, moving them along.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like immediate. One fight, then boom, the next one, then boom, the next one. The way the way they run their operation is real tight, bro. I really like it, man.
When so I know it airs like midnight for like everyone else, but like when do you actually fight?
That isn't my favorite part, but yeah, it was. I believe it was around midnight last time.
For you too? That shit wasn't on a delay?
Maybe it was a little bit later, to be honest with you. At that point, I'm so in the zone, I don't really know. But I will tell you that fight day it's borderline torturous because they do the COVID protocol so tight that you're stuck in the hotel all week, right? And then the day of the fight, a lot of times, I get to do other things, take my mind off a bit, go out to eat, whatever. And that day, you're stuck in the hotel all day and night because you're there waiting for a shuttle. This time it was like 10:50 that it got there. So imagine I'm there in the room with the coach, 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10. You're just there like with the fight on your mind, like tense as shit, like God damn,
Fuck,
like
man.
other times, like for other shows, like I like to get to the venue early, feel out the cage, and then that way, like you kind of like sink into the mood of the fight and like you accept it and like everything's all good. But like you gotta wait for that till last second, and then by the time you get there, you're fighting a little bit. I'm glad you noted that, bro. I love your breakdown on there, man. And I'm glad you noted that how many fights I have, bro. And on top of that, I have 6 amateur fights that I won all of them. So whatever, it's amateur, but there's still a crowd. Your family's still there. There's still that pressure. The guy's still trying to take your head off. So with those 6 plus the 16 pro fights, that's 21 times that I've been in there.
And you're not even 30 yet. That's fucking wild. Like you're not even like you're just now hitting your athletic prime and you have all this experience. Like most people your age don't have that experience. And I think that is really advantageous. And you look at the guys that you fight, look at the guys that you have competed against and they're fucking savages. Like you haven't taken any chump fights, man. Like you fought Lee Lilly, who's a savage. Gotti,
you don't know that.
Savage.
And not for nothing, I respect Lee Lilly, but if you saw her fight, I think that was another robbery, dog.
Yeah.
I had him rocked all over the place. I was hitting my knees to the head. He just took me down twice. And listen to this. The first takedown in the first round, he took me down. I was in his guard, and I got him in a full-fledged armbar. Swept him. Was like right about to finish it, and boop, the fucking bell rang. It was one of those moments. So in my opinion, it's like you're a judge, and you're going to give him credit for that takedown, but I would have stopped him.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
You have definitely like experienced some up and downs in your career, but before we get into that, I really want to talk a little bit about like where you're from. You're from Miami, and I think we have an international audience. I'm blessed to have an international audience with people from the UK, Scotland, awesome. Germany, all over the place. And so I'm trying to like break this down because a lot of people may not know, and people even in America may not know this, but I know. So let's talk about it a little bit. You're from Miami. I'm familiar enough with it. I have not been to that particular area. I've been to Florida, but I can't say I've been to Miami. But in preparation for our conversation, I did a lot of research about Miami, coupled with what I already know. And I think it's safe to say there are 2 faces to Miami. There's that public face where all the tourists come in. You see the Versace places. You go to South Beach. You see all the tourist traps. South Beach, et cetera, but there's a different side of Miami that a lot of people don't think about. And for me, when I think of Miami, like because I'm fucking weird, I think of Dada 5000, I think of Kimbo Slice, and I think of Jorge. I think of those 3 dudes.
Miami, dog. Yeah, I'm from South Miami, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like that is where I came up, bro. It's like a lot of drugs, a lot of drug dealing. Like I myself been in jail. I've been in the county. I've never been to prison, but I've been in the county 3 times. So the way I was raised was, fighting on the street, crazy this, shoot out here, stabbing there. Like, like I changed my appearance for the most part, and I changed the way I speak. Because, I'm 29 years old. I'm a mature adult. I'm a professional athlete. When I was younger, I had my pants under my ass. I was talking like this, baby. Like, that's the culture that I grew up in, bro. And that's another reason why not to be an excuse maker, but when I was losing all those fights, I was out of my mind, dog. I had 1 foot in the street and 1 in the cage. And you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? I was a full-blown drug addict and alcoholic, dog. And I'd still make the weight. I'd still fight. But I was getting smashed every night, dude. And I was young, so my body could take it. I was young and tough, so my body could take it. So I would still show up to train twice a day. Right. But my reactions were fried, dude. I just didn't understand the importance of it. I was a young, hard-headed, bad motherfucker you couldn't tell nobody to. Yeah. Couldn't tell nothing to. I came up And those days, it's ironic because in those days that I was losing was when our gym was the most stacked. When I was training with guys like Yoel Romero every day, other killers that aren't as known, Alex Caceres, like other guys in the UFC. And Yoel would always tell me, dog, and like I was just so fucking hard-headed, bro.
Yeah.
And I wish I could go back in time and change it, but it's experience, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
losses are lessons.
One of the things that is so unique about you is like you're in a position where I feel like in your gym you have seen almost every single thing. Well, no, I wouldn't. You've seen every single thing the fight game can offer. You've fought at big stages, you fought in little stages, like you've seen it all. Like you've been through a losing streak, you've been through a winning streak. I would imagine like a lot of the life lessons that you've learned, like you can pay that forward to the next wave of fighters that are coming after you.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm grouping all these kids. Sorry to cut you off.
No,
Lewis, the Stash, my boy who you follow too.
He's the man.
He's the man. He's my boy. But kids like him, I groom these guys. You know what I mean? They come in, and I make sure they don't make the same mistakes that I did. And look at him. He's 5-0 as an amateur, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes 5-0 as a pro too.
I'm gonna have a stash when he gets on the show. He's gonna come on this show, and I'm gonna grow out a shitty mustache just for him.
Okay, sure, he'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
Be like crazy, but we got a couple killers. We got a couple killers in the woodworks over there, bro.
So you are from the capital of street fighting, in my opinion. I mean. I don't tell me if anyone wants to argue with me, that's fine. But like, I know I'm right.
I'll be right behind you, dog.
I know I'm right. Like, I mean, Dada 5000, Kimbo Slice, Jorge Masvidal. I mean, that's like the Mount Rushmore.
The whole bare knuckle came from here, really, when you think of it.
You're 29 years old, and like when that shit was like in its heyday in like the early 2000s, and like growing up, was that something you paid attention to, or?
Yeah, I've been to those backyarders a couple of times. I never got in there. Per se, you know, that's when I was really beginning to train, but I was around the element. You know what I'm saying? I got a bunch of boys and training partners that are doing the BKFC, bare knuckle fighting, killing it. Guys that are undefeated in bare knuckle boxers.
So Marcos, what was like did the street fighting and coming up with that, like, I'm going to make some presumptions about you. I'm going to assume that you didn't grow up with a silver spoon in your mouth. I'm going to assume that you grew up in a gritty neighborhood where it was like kill or be killed, more than likely. And like you probably got in a lot of fights, not just because I'm sure you were a punk ass for half of them, but for the other half, it was you were probably trying to protect yourself from getting your own ass whipped or protect somebody else. So the question then becomes like, at what point do you think to yourself, like, I have a gift, and instead of like using this gift to get me in trouble, I'm going to use it for something positive. Like, at what point in your life did that like light bulb go off, and you're like, holy shit? Very
good point. As soon as I went into a gym, bro, because I had so many fights, so much street fight experience, and I was good. Like, you know, I've been jumping shit like that, but like a fair one-on-one street fight before I started training, I promise you, only recall one that I truly lost.
Yeah,
and I still remember that motherfucker. And I thank that motherfucker because he was really the reason why I was like, damn, I got to learn how to fucking do this shit. Because the kid was a boxer. I don't know the guy like that, but I could tell the kid was a boxer. So I couldn't see his punches. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, brother, I got to learn how to really do this. And then when I started training, bro, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Other shit has happened in the street, which is, like you said, after training, it's all been like me defending myself or, you know what I mean? Like me just not being able to avoid it for the most part.
Yeah.
But when I started training, I was like, bro, I've already gotten in trouble X amount of times. Like, what am I going to do? Am I going to keep doing this? And I'm going to end up wasting a lot of years of my life up the road, as they say. So I'm going to channel this badassness into something positive. And, you know, that way I could still be happy, still beat people up, but get paid to do it and not go to jail. You feel me?
Yeah, absolutely. In doing my research on you, I've looked at pretty much, I won't say all your fights, but pretty much everything I could find my hands on, I've looked at. I've watched it in its entirety. And like I said, when I watch fights, I don't listen to audio. I put it on and I watch it. And in addition to that, I don't really listen to MMA podcasts. I don't read about MMA. I just watch it. And so what you're getting is just like how I authentically feel about certain things. Like I don't I only follow you guys. I only follow fighters. I don't really follow a bunch of like media personalities or whatnot because I don't want to be an echo chamber. And when I see you, you're exciting, man. Like I like watching you fight. Like there's one boring fight of yours, but it wasn't because it was your fault. It was because you got grapple fucked. Yeah, exactly.
Which shouts out because at that point in my career was when I was already more serious.
Yeah.
So when David Mundell did that to me, like I really, really, really hit the drawing board. That's when I added like the weight, like the strength training. I got all the Olympic wrestlers that I trained with, and I was like, bro, this cannot happen again. I did so much wall work. I did so much getting back to my feet work.
I could tell
that since that fight, I haven't been taken down. Brother, if that didn't happen, like if I would have had a good manager and I would have evaded a fight like that, I wouldn't be the fighter that I am today, you know? So he talked me into betting my purse. And me thinking I'm going to beat him, I bet my purse. I lost that fight and I came home empty-handed, dog. Crazy.
Well, hey, man, at least you're a man of your word and you paid him.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we put it in the contract and everything.
Well, hey, nonetheless, I'm glad you took that loss because you are a different fighter from that. Like,
yeah, if I would have taken that loss, somebody else would have held me down and I would have been fucked, bro. And you know, the way I view it is, the way I view all my losses and my experiences, at least it happened in a little show. So that when I get to the big times, you know, I already had that experience as opposed to getting my ass beat in front of the whole fucking world on national television, you know?
I completely understand where you would be coming from because you know what? Like, it's hard to stay humble when everything in life is going good for you. And
I have that problem, dude. I have that problem. Me and other guys in the UFC that I know, it just gets to my head. I call it the tough guy curse.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the true tough guys, they believe in their own shit a little bit too much, and they're like, fuck it, you know, whatever. What is he gonna do to me? Right. It's my overconfidence that's been my Achilles heel. But at least I have that, then I'm being a fucking pussy. You feel me?
But at least you have that awareness, though. So many guys don't. They, to your point, they drink so much of their own Kool-Aid, they get drunk off of it.
But that's what the L's do, brother. Because I was pretty too, and all these L's, you know, I had a couple L's in a row, and I was like, hold the fuck on. I started this shit, you know, 5-0 as an amateur, 3-0 as a pro. I was a prodigy. I started training at 18. Within that same year, you know, people take like time before they fight, start competing. Before I turned 18, I was already doing amateurs. I cleaned house through amateurs. I went pro at 20 years old, 2-0. I started 3-0 there. So imagine, and I'm a young kid, you know, with all these street habits, the shit got to my head. So all these L's, they woke my ass up, dude. And
so Marcos, did you say you had 5 AMI fights?
Yeah, I had 6.
6 AMI fights. Okay, so they weren't sanctioned then?
No, they were. They were completely sanctioned. They were just so long ago that I can't find records of them.
Yeah, me neither.
On Tapology,
it only says 1.
It only has 1, and it was my last one. Yeah, but that's how old school this shit is, bro. And I remember at the time that I was getting ready to compete, thankfully, Florida passed a law where to go pro, you need to have 5 amateur fights. So thank God, because if not, I would have been even less ready if I would have decided to go straight pro.
Is that a good rule or a bad rule, in your opinion?
Like I said, I think it's a good rule, bro. Because it doesn't apply to, for example, Olympic wrestlers, guys that they're already ready, you know, in one way or another. It doesn't apply to them. But to kids like me, that I don't have a background, dog. I didn't wrestle. I didn't do no karate. I didn't do no this. Straight streets, bro. So I needed to get my feet wet a little bit before going pro, you know?
And that's such an incredible thing about you. And I've listened to some other interviews that you've had, and you've talked about that. You've talked about, you know, not coming from like a karate school or a wrestling school. Dog. Like you had to like figure all that out as an adult.
Yeah, these guys, like my training partners, these Cuban wrestlers, bro, they were forced into that lifestyle at 3, 4, 5, 6 years old.
Right.
They all have those advantages over me, and I'm over here, you know, just 18. I started training at 18, but hey, I was a natural fucking talent, dog. Because I see my amateur fights, I have videos of some of them, and I'm over here throwing punches with perfect form. A natural talent, bro. Not to toot my own horn, but it's the truth. If not, I would have been, my coach wanted to rush me into all that competition.
Do you think it's fair to say that everybody who fights at a professional level has some sort of natural talent?
No.
You don't think so?
And I'll go as far as to say this. Not everybody that's a professional fighter is even a fighter.
How so?
I know pussies, bro.
Educate me.
I know fighters that are pussies, bro.
What do they do?
There's guys that have never fought nobody. I train with some of these people, and they're scared to get hit. They don't like to spar. Like, there's fighters that do it for the image, bro, for the IG and shit, or thinking they're gonna make a bag, even though they train like fucking pussies.
Yeah. And you're a reality check for, I would imagine, a lot of fighters.
Yeah, because you know, when I got my record all fucked up, which is still is far from perfect, these promotions that don't know me, they're like, oh, okay, let's use this guy to suite, I'm Spanglish, to bring this guy up, like our Moody, like Gotti, like all these guys. And I said, okay, bro. I find out the hard way.
And I picked that up.
Yeah, and that's why you're a gangster, bro, and that's why I respect you, because you really have the mind, you really know what you're talking about, and you do a lot of studying and homework, and I do too. So that's a mutual respect for that. But it's funny because when I felt, brother, I was negative at one point. When I felt at 3 and 4, I looked at my coach and I was like, dog, I'm finna retire, bro. I'm no fucking good. And he was like, brother, he told me in Spanish because he's straight Cuban, but I'll obviously translate for you. He's like, bro, look, you're still what? I think I was like 25 at the time. Mm-hmm. If you were 30, 40 years old, I tell you, you know what? That's it. You're done. But you have the time to do it. Tú eres la sorpresa. He said, you're going to be the surprise. And it's funny because I changed my ring name so many times. Lobo is the most recent one, by the way. Conquistador was my first one because I'm Spain. But I've been through Conquistador, I've been through La Sorpresa, and I've been through El Lobo. And like
that means the Lobo.
Like, I'm not going to say names, but I've seen guys that, you know, they because of political connections, most likely they're ticket sellers or they have a really good manager or whatever it is, and they're really not that good at all. And they've made it all the way to the UFC because they fought absolutely nobody and they have a big following. And then what's heartbreaking is I've seen more often than not the opposite. Mm-hmm. Kids like me that are skilled, but they fucked their record up fighting everybody because, in my opinion, they're true fighters. They don't know how to say no to the fight. And I feel like if you're a true fighter, you feel like you can beat anybody in the world. And I've seen these guys fuck their records up, and then what's heartbreaking is they get discouraged and they retire when this guy was so much more talented than the other example who just has had great management.
If you are not a fighter and you're listening to this show, this is a good example of why you shouldn't, dig deeper. Don't always just go off of what a fighter's record is. Look at who they fought, when they fought. Look at that shit because it's important.
Yeah, it kills me when I get into conversations with casuals because, oh, this guy's blah, 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 and that, and that. I'm like, yeah, but I beat his ass in a sparring the other day.
Yeah.
They look at me as like, a journeyman, which technically I am, but hey, I could give you some of the examples. Matt Brown was 7-6 at one point, fought for a world title. Mm-hmm. Vicente Luque was 7-5. He's on his way to fighting for a world title. Mark Hunt was 5-7 with 6 losses in a row and fought for a world title. Anthony Smith, the guy on your shirt, was 5-7 at one point. Fought for a world title. Could have been a world champion if he stayed down when John Jones needed him in the face.
Yep, but he's a man. He doesn't.
Look at this kid who's a champ at 55 now, Oliveira. He was 10-8 in the UFC at one point, and now he's the best.
Yeah.
Look at Jan Blachowicz. This guy was 38 years old. Started 2-5 in the UFC.
Yeah, and he almost got cut. Yeah.
He beat a guy that was 20-0.
Mm-hmm. Obviously,
the man Adesanya. I love him, but it's beautiful, bro. At this point, with all these examples in front of me, it's so motivating, and it's not like boxing that's so heavily political. It's like there's no written rules in MMA, bro. As long as you apply yourself and you really are about this, you could do it, dog. Don't let nothing or what nobody says discourage you. But you gotta have what's called perseverance. Perseverance. I'm getting shit tatted across my belly because that word means so much to me.
You need to listen to Hatebreed then, because there's a song called Perseverance. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm gonna check it out. I like metal. It's been a little bit since I looked into it.
We get humbled a little bit by Mundell. We work on our ground game, and to me, that I think is the turning point in your career. You don't look like the same guy after that.
As far as concerning the ground, it was how to get up.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Gustavito Balart, Olympic wrestler. Shouts out to Michel Batista, Olympic wrestler. Shouts out to Justin, my boy, my training partner. But really, the guy who showed me how to get up, like the most high percentage, is Alex Caceres, UFC fighter. That fucker, every position, from every position that I've been stuck on the ground. Imagine, the guy has over 20 plus fights in the UFC, and he's so everybody's always dying to take him down. So he gave me the shortcuts through. That's another guy with a bunch of losses. Through his experience as to how to really get up in every position. And after I learned that, it's been like, and the strength training too, bro. Like, that's another thing. It's like, when you're doing this, you can't just view yourself as a fighter. That was my problem. I wasn't a martial artist. I was a cage fighter. Mm-hmm. It's not just that. You had to be a professional athlete.
Right.
I added track work for my explosiveness, and I added weight training. weight training, you got to be strong, dog. If you're not strong, you could somewhat make it as a striker. You know what I predominantly am. But at that moment that the guy enters your legs or he grabs you in a clinch, if you're not strong, even if he has less wrestling skills, he's gonna ragdoll you, bro.
Yeah.
So you got to get that man strength about you. If not, these guys are gonna have their way with you, bro.
I'm glad you mentioned Alex because he's a good example of a guy who's way better than what his record is.
Oh, fuck it. That kid's a beast, bro.
I often cite this fight as a reference to a lot of amateurs, and it was the fight with Alex against Chase Hooper. There was a man fighting a boy.
That was the last camp that I did with him. Because right now, he's doing his own thing. He opened up his own gym or whatever. That's also here in Miami. But his last camp that he did with us, that I was one of his main training partners, and probably one of his best looks for Hooper was me, and our gym, Freedom Fighters, baby.
There you go.
He did that camp with us, and look how good he looked, bro. He looked amazing that fight, and he derailed the hype train. That was a classic example.
And you know that's a case in point to any like Amy that's out there that might be listening to this. It's take your time, man, because I think that's a good example of a guy who got pushed. And he's way in over his head right now. He should be on the regional scene.
I mean, but he did that damage on the regional scene, bro.
Yeah, he's a beast. But he's like 20.
He's so young. What they should do with him is just slow step him, you know, and put him against guys that are for real B-side, not guys that appear to be B-side because of the record, like me, like Alex. Because Alex will fuck your ass up. That boy's dangerous.
Absolutely. Like, he should be fighting guys that's like it's their first fight in the UFC or something like that.
20 plus fights. You're out of your mind, dog. I don't care how many L's he has, bro. He's fought the best.
His fight intelligence is off the chain.
I saw experience. I saw him beating. I mean, it was a real close fight, so I can't say that it was a split decision, but it could have gone his way in his 5-round battle with Yair Rodriguez, who's like a top 5 guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And in that fight breakdown that I did of you, and if you haven't checked that out yet and you're listening to this, please do yourself a favor. Please check that out. You'll just have a much larger appreciation for how good Marcos is by watching that, especially if you've never watched any of his fights before. When I watched the Gotti fight, and like I said, I watched it probably 3 times now.
Yeah, so many times.
I thought that was a great fight. I thought you did a great job, and I won't. This is me speaking. This isn't you speaking. I think if it was a guy with a last name like Smith, you would win that fight. I could give you the whole story behind that.
I could give you the whole story behind that.
Go ahead.
So at this point in my career, I still hadn't met my manager. God bless him, David Arbello, First Round Management, who's getting me great fights and great deals. Got me the Combate deal. I was still like a freelancing journeyman, just fighting whenever I could. So I'm just there training my ass off all day, every day. I don't have anything coming up, but I'm training my ass off, so I got the itch. And I see a Facebook post from shouts out to Daniel K, XFN, saying, opportunity for 170 pounds versus 4-0 pro, blah, blah, blah. And I put my resume in, and then he sent me back John Gotti. Like, bro, my eyes are like, Because I knew that, no disrespect to the guy, I knew that, he'd fought nobody. So he's very beatable. And B, I love the Gottis. I love mafia. I love organized crime. So the way I was doing is I was not like, I want to fuck this guy up like that. It's just I want to get a W over this guy and be able to say I beat John Gotti and be part of somewhat the Gotti legacy, right? Whatever. That's the way I think. But when I took the fight, bro, I knew it was up. I knew if I didn't finish him, I was going to get robbed. But I felt like I had no other options. So I was like, fuck that. I want to be part of the experience. And then with that fight, we were supposed to fight the one time, and then he got hurt, so he had to pull. And then I fought Moody, so that was a great experience. And just the whole experience was awesome, bro. They flew me out to Rhode Island. I took a fucking flight at 5:30 in the morning, 3 days before the damn fight. But I loved it, dog. I finally felt like a pro. I was getting flown out to places and shit. They were obviously flying me out to lose, but I was just dying to finish Gotti, bro. That's the reason why I went so sub crazy, which is another thing that I learned from, dog. If you're in a dominant position, don't you damn go for no Peruvian necktie or no armbar off the back. You're going to give up position again in a place where the judge sees you on your back for 2 seconds. The guy's already winning the fucking round. So, that was another learning. That was my last, you learn from every fight, but my last stinging learning experience was from that Gotti fight, dog. I took so many risks with him because I knew I felt pressured to finish him.
Mm-hmm.
But what I should have done was just try to knock his ass out because I felt like by the third round I could have KO'd him easily, dog. It's just when he shot on me. I don't know if you remember the fight. Sorry, just cut you off. When he shot at me at the beginning of the third, after I connected 2 hard ass right hands, and in the second round I damn near knocked his life out with back kicks.
Mm-hmm.
He shot on me, and in camp for that fight, I had put like 3 training partners to sleep with Peruvian neckties. So I was like, I got this motherfucker. Boom! I put on the necktie, but he didn't want to tap, which surprised me. That guy, tough ass motherfucker, hats off. So I aborted the choke, but then he got on top, and I was kind of like a fucked up fight. But then again, he had my back. I spun the full mount, rained down elbows. He gave me his back, and I was just so desperate to finish him that I went for the armbar. And it's just, like, it's just like tactical. I don't know if they're tactical errors, dog. Because in my opinion, a judge should be scoring a fight off a guy trying to finish a guy, right? And that's what I was trying to do the entire fucking fight. The only thing he did to me was hold me for a little bit successfully. That's literally all he did.
He had ground control on you in one round. I think it was the third, but you won the first 2 rounds convincingly. It was 29-28. Unanimous decision for you. 100%.
Yeah, thank you, bro. That means a lot, dog. And it's like managers of fighters who fought me. Guys who have no business telling me anything nice have told me that. Everybody says that. They themselves, the Gotti camp, whatever, his team, they're like, and I could just tell, like, after the fight, like, his whole demeanor, like, he thought he lost.
Mm-hmm. Well, because he probably knows. He's not a dumb kid.
God bless the guy. I don't want to be on bad terms with the Gotti family, but I felt like I won that fight, and I'll tell him that. If whoever has a problem with it, I'll tell him, hey, bro, no disrespect, huge respect to you and your family, but I felt like I won that fight, and there's nothing that'll change my mind about that.
I'm gonna go ahead and make the presumption he'd probably agree with you. Maybe not on camera or nothing, but man to man, if you're talking to him in a bar or something like that, he would probably agree.
Thank you. But can I tell you this? Did you see his fight after that?
He lost.
He looks horrible. I feel like I took the fight out of him. I feel like I made him realize, like, damn, like, this shit ain't for me, dog. This shit is a lot tougher than I thought it was.
I think you probably put out the blueprint for how to beat him.
That too, and I feel like I don't want to sound too disrespectful, but I feel like I took the dog out of him, dude. Because he even his fight with me, he put a lot more effort, and he worked his way out of bad positions a lot more than this last fight with that guy Nick Ali. Mm-hmm. And this last fight with the guy Nick Ali in the second round, he was already ready to quit. Now there's other factors, because that was when he fought Ali. That guy was also a Rhode Island guy, so they weren't doing the whole bias thing.
Exactly.
And which this is an underrated factor, but I think it had to do with it. There was no public. It was a COVID fight. When I fought him, the whole casino was there roaring his name. But imagine if you're fighting, you're in a bad position, you got the whole world roaring your name. That's going to motivate you to keep fighting and get up off these bad positions,
Yeah, absolutely. And the crowd interaction could influence the judging too.
Oh, bro. I feel like the judges were bought already.
They probably, yeah. I mean, hey, listen, it's the fight game, man. Shitty things happen.
Fight game, and it's the mob. Ooh, that's the Gottis. His dad, shut up. His dad is super respectful.
That's cool. Let's talk a little bit at like post Gotti. So like after that fight, which I'm just chalking that up as a dub for you. The last fight in my mind.
I'm on a 6-fight. I feel like I'm on a 6-fight win streak.
You are, and the last fight that you've lost was Mundell. You reworked your game. You practiced so much on ground, get ups, scrambles, etc. And talk me through. Now we're getting into Combate and McDowell. So I first wanted to ask you, how did the opportunity arise for you to get into Combate? That is a really good promotion.
My motherfucking manager, David Arvello. Shouts out my dog. Fucking he put me in Global Legion. I won 2 fights. Good fights. Everybody said that my fight with Greg Ellis was a barn burn. I don't know if you've seen.
I did not see the Ellis fight, no.
But they said it was the best fight in Global Legion history, whatever. But yeah, so I win those 2 dubs. I earn them. You know what I'm saying? Decision, tough fights or whatever. And then at that point, I'm 9-6, 8-6, 9-6.
Mm-hmm.
Manager, who's my fucking dog, he knows I'm Spaniard. He's cool with the people at Combate. He brought up my resume and everything, doing me a favor, because 9-6 still isn't the best record. So he did me a favor, making me look great and talking me up to the people from Combate. And not only did they sign me, they gave me a 5-fight deal, bro, where I'm not getting paid bad, So I'm strictly Combates for my next 5 fights, and I'm happy, bro. They're keeping me busy. I was supposed to, to get to that. Remember, I told you I was fighting September 10th, but because of I don't know, like whatever, they pushed it to October 8th. But I got my opponent and everything.
Go back and talk about the McDowell fight a little bit.
Uh huh.
McDowell's a tough motherfucker, man.
So
like,
much,
Jesus.
so much respect for that guy, dude. God damn it. We took photos after, we spoke after, we follow each other on Instagram, we still talk. God bless that guy. He brought the absolute best out of me.
He is a fucking tank. And
but I saw footage on him a couple months before that, and he was a completely different fighter. Mm-hmm. So here's a good story that you'd probably find interesting. Is when he got word of his fight with me, mind you, he's seen my tape. He knows I'm good. He knows I'm better than my record. He's from Kentucky originally, and he told me like this. He's like, brother, when I got word of our fight, with the Southern accent.
Yeah.
He goes, I packed my whole life into 3 bags, and I moved into my gym, Warrior Fit Gym in Washington. So this guy was living out of that gym, training all day and all fucking night, living out of a gym to beat me. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I feel like his level, when you see his last fight and then my fight, went like this in a short amount of time. But what really stood out to him to me the most about him was his, obviously his toughness, his numbness, and his cardio, dog. Mm-hmm. That fucker put a pace on me that was crazy, bro. Like in that by the time it reached that 3rd round, brother, physically I was so tired, but that's how I know I'm a fucking savage. I just disconnected my exhaustion from my tactic, and I just kept working him, letting that right hand moving, thinking this, that. And then with the times I took him down, I felt like his leg just landed in my fucking lap. So I was like, down you go. Woo, thank God.
So I want to say like probably 99 out of 100 times you fight against anybody else, that shot, I think it was the right that you threw that knocked him down to the ground.
It was a corkscrew jab and an overhand right. And what got him was that I got him right on the money. That's another lesson from that fight is I could be hitting people all over here, but you got to get them right the fuck here, dog. Mm-hmm. Maybe the temp, but I'm really working on my precision right here because that's when I finally got him here. And I saw his eyes roll as he was going down. I thought it was over.
I did too.
What I should have done was I should have passed his legs. You feel me? Like drop, pass his legs, put my knee on his belly, and then go to town. But I was so excited, you know what I'm saying, with thinking the finish was right there that I dove into his guard. And not only is he a tough motherfucker, and actually from people that were there, because some of my boys were at the event, they told me that he was out, but when his head hit the canvas on impact, he woke back up. And I know from a fact, from hearing multiple fighters, that happens. Mm-hmm. You get rocked with one shot, be out, and then the other shot will wake you back up.
Damn.
So the canvases will woke his ass up, I feel like.
And then he, that makes sense because it looked like he went out for a second, and then as soon as you got into his guard, then he's trying to like put submissions and shit on you.
Yeah, when he started with the subs, I was like, all right, chill, Mark, don't blow your load. This guy's still very much in this fight. And then after that, I was like, bro, it's a little bit tiring to try to finish somebody like that. So I was like, I'm going to just hold this guy in this position here. I'm going to do what's called riding him for a bit to get my win back. But that guy was a fucking zombie warrior, bro. God bless him, and God bless him for helping me learn about myself and just, making me realize that.
I got to be honest. I knew a little bit about him prior to the bout, and then after that bout, I was like, I'm a fan of that dude. Like, that guy is a fucking savage.
Sure, that guy, whenever he fights again, whoever it is, he's going to beat him up. As long as he does, I don't think he's discouraged. I think he's still living in that gym. As long as he keeps, biting on the bullet and just grinding, he can make something out of his career too.
Like, I love that McDowell fight. So I wanted to ask you, so you're on a 5-fight contract with Combate. I wanted to shift gears a little bit before I let you go. And a lot of people tell me, like, behind the scenes, like Tyler, like, you know a lot about the fight business. You know a lot about, like, what goes on behind the scenes. And I think to myself, like, you know why I know that? Because of you. Talking to you over all these months about, like, what really goes down when people... There's another side of this sport that those of us like me don't see. And just in our conversations,
politics.
I won't...
Politics.
Yeah, I won't get into, like, the nitty-gritty of it, but I'll just say, like, there are certain things about fighting that really bother me. And I think that fighters are really underappreciated, and they're treated like meat bags by some of these promotions. And so it begs the question, and something I would ask you. So you're gonna go on and get the strap, and everyone will talk about you like being the championship one day, right? and then I'll make that Rogan money, and then you and I are gonna start our own
Yeah.
promotion because I'm gonna need a fighter to be the face of it. Like Gamebred's the face of their shit, so you gotta be the face of mine.
Oh yeah, I'd love to, bro.
So how would we make a fight promotion that is geared to like fixing some of the fuckery that's in the fight business right now?
Brother, to be honest with you, my man, the fuckery in the fight business is always going to be there. And you know why? This is exactly that, a business. It's economic. People need to make money. If we got a ticket seller who sells $30,000 worth of tickets, why wouldn't you put him against a bum and want to see him win? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I start a fight business with a promotion with you, what I'm going to want is I want the guys from my team to win. And the ticket sellers, we're going to protect them too. And it's a sad truth. And they call it the hurt business because it's cold and it's just not fair. Life ain't fair, my brother.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, the only promotions that really you would be seeing shit like that in, where it's like fair, like competition, straight competition, is somewhere like the UFC, bro. Because even at the lower levels of UFC, Bellator, there's still like protection going on, bro. And I feel that's just part of the sport. When you want to build, guys like O'Malley, when you want to build a brand, you want to build a star. It's just part of the name of the game, bro.
I gotta tell you though, like I would make our promotion a little different, and here's what I mean by that. It'd be like PFL style.
I love PFL.
Like, dude, like fuck all the politics, fuck all of like the fake hype. It's all outcome based, baby. Like, hey,
you know what? That's a good idea too, because with doing that, you produce the best fights.
You do, don't you? Like naturally.
Good fights, you draw viewers. So in that sense, that could actually definitely work. That could for sure work.
Yeah, like I love the format of it. Like you get rid of a lot of the fuckery and a lot of the politics. And for me, like if I was like 22 years old and heard some of the UFC fuckery, like like your wife's in my DMs and shit like that, I would have found that hilarious. But now, dude, like I'm in my 30s and stuff. It's like, dude, that shit is manufactured. It's fake. Like I don't care about any of that. Just get in the ring and fight, man. Like I don't care about any of that, like, and that's why I like
Pride FC in the good old days.
Yeah, and that's why I like about PFL so much is it's not really like that.
No theatrics, there's no storyline. It's just straight action,
and that's what I like. That's all I care about. I don't care about storylines.
Just pure sport. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's when it's mostly like my favorite. Your post on Fridays, baby. The Gladiator shit.
Oh, thank you.
I love those, bro. I love them.
Thank you. That was one of the things. One of the reasons why I did that was just because, I feel like we watch fights, but we don't really like appreciate like what it is that we're actually watching. And I hope that when I post stuff like that, people can actually take a minute to actually reflect and think a little bit about what it is you're about to see, because you guys put it all.
Think about the guy who's getting shamed by casuals for being a pussy or this and that, or he sucks. But this guy has a family to go home to, dog.
Exactly.
This guy just got beat up on national television, got half the fucking paycheck, and Lord knows what's going through his head. You know what I'm saying? It's the equation never changes. 2 athletes, 1 broken heart.
Yep. Absolutely. And one of the things that's so beautiful about the sport, in my opinion, is it's like it's life in 15 minutes.
It's the purest thing ever, bro. Because purest sport ever. Because there's no hiding. At least in real fights, like you said, there's no hiding. It's not like basketball or football, which you lost the game.
Right.
Bro, you lose a fight, you lost a fight. That's your manhood. That's your pride.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what the athletes are going to be that much more competitive.
Yeah. And there aren't any excuses if you lose a fight. You just lost.
Yeah, that's why I love it. It's not there's aspects why it is a team sport.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when you go in that cage, it's you by yourself, my man. You got your corner there trying to tell you what to do, but it's just you and him, and there's no hiding. That's why I say fighting is like a conversation. You really find out about people. You find out about yourself. Mm-hmm. You see what you're really made of. You see what the other guy's really made of.
What is something about the fight game that isn't as hard as what outsiders think? And then the flip side, what's one thing that's a lot harder than what people might not even think about?
Okay, so one thing that's a lot harder than what people think? I don't know. It's a good question, man. One I'd have to think about.
Would it be like selling? You know like, would it be like selling yourself? And like the whole publicity angle of it?
Yes, at least for guys like me. Don't get me wrong. Like these fake fighters that I tell you about, they love that aspect. That's the reason why they do it. But for guys like me, bro, fuck yes, you're right. I hate doing that shit, dude. Mm-hmm. Or like, how about this one? Having to sell tickets. I've signed contracts where if I don't sell X amount of tickets, then they're gonna take that from my purse. So shit like that is like, and this is the worst part, is that all the fans or whatever, your followers that want to buy the tickets, they're gonna wait till weigh-in day or fight day to call you for that fucking ticket. And you're dead on your ass. You're cutting fucking weight. You don't want to deal with nobody. And you got to be worried about selling fucking tickets to some fucking asshole that, doesn't give a fuck and is tuning in when it's convenient. Or my favorite, when they ask you, what time are you going to fight? That's my favorite one. What time are you going to fight? How the fuck do I know, dude? The main card starts at 6, but for them, they don't know any better,
Yeah.
So I have to keep my patience, but that one's a pet peeve.
Yeah, for sure. And what's one thing that isn't as hard as what people think it might be?
For me, personally, because I know for a lot of great fighters it is, but I love this shit so much, dog, that because I'm a personal trainer and I'm a full-time professional fighter, being in the gym upwards of 8 fucking hours, dog, like more than 8 hours, for that, a lot of people, that's hard. I love every second of it. Because I've been in places that these fuckers haven't. And I understand how blessed we are to be able to do this, dog. Mm-hmm. Like, dude, I know guys who did good in school and they're attorneys and this and that, but they hate their lives, bro. They make all this money, but they're not happy.
Right.
So I'm so blessed that I get to go there and be a big kid, basically, and fucking punch people in the face and do shit that you're not allowed to do in society. Get paid for it? No, I'm not getting paid to train, but my training is what's going to get me paid when I get that W. So I love every second, every minute of the most harshest, difficult parts of training. Maybe that's just me brainwashing myself to make it good.
Right.
It probably is, but I love it, bro. I literally love it.
We got another good question, and some of the other ones we already answered. Who's the nicest dude you've fought against?
Okay, but that question's hard to answer because there's people that are fake nice.
Yeah, sure. If you had to guess, like based off of like what, if you had to make a educated guess.
Bro, to be honest with you, dog, the nicest fucking guy, and like it got on my nerves as to how nice this fucker was because of how competitive I am, is Fred Moncayo, the guy who submitted me in Titan. Dude, because that was a fight that I felt negative, and I was so devastated in the fucking cage, dog. And this guy just kept like coming up to me trying to shake my hand, and I was like, "Get the fuck away from me!" And he kept, and I just had to shake his hand. And then like he spent like later when I'm in line waiting to get paid, and by God, I just so happy that he's right next to me. And this guy spent like 30 minutes just giving me an encouraging speech and this and that and that. And I was like, fuck, you're so fucking nice, bro. You know what? You're my fucking friend. So,
hey, man. They make you stand in line to get paid?
That night I did. Combate is a bet. As soon as you leave the cage, Padilla cuts you that check. Boom, and you're free to go.
Oh, that's good. I hope there's a lot of zeros at the end of it, man. Marcos, thank you so much for your time, man. You're a true gentleman. I can't wait to have you back on the show. But before I let you go, I wanted to give you an opportunity to give any shout-outs, whether it be for your gym, your teammates, any of your sponsors, anything like that before we go.
Shouts out to Freedom Fighters Martial Arts, everybody there. All my peoples there, my coaches, Manuel Lopez, Ray Fundora. My real close training partners, Justin, Lewis, Leo. Look out for Leo. He's making his bare knuckle debut. That guy's a killer. Francesco. Everybody, everybody's going to get mad. I didn't say their name, whatever. Adontibia Bell Bonds, Dynamic Wellness, my sponsors. Free Alexis Villa, my dog. I don't know if you looked into him. That's a very interesting story. He's an Olympic wrestler that's in jail now for murder.
Holy shit.